Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. Um, I apologize if I sound like Mickey Mouse today or Minnie Mouse, but I woke up and the voice was gone, so here we are. I just want to thank the audience for being here, whether you're being um, here with us live or you watch us later. I appreciate the support, and please remember to subscribe, share, and like so we can continue to bring you um, more programming. And as you may realize or not know, either way, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe to my channel because this way you don't have an excuse. See, you guys always come in with excuses. So I'm taking all of them away.
Mhm.
Now, today we have two very genuine people that have also decided to do a podcast. So I am so honored that they decided to, yes, accept my invitation and be here to tell you guys all about themselves and how they got to be here. And of course, their links are in the description, and you're going to go there and follow them, right? Because that's what we do. This is why we bring you different people, different perspectives, and you never know where healing is going to begin, awakening moments are going to start, or even ascending. So let's take it from there. Welcome, Reginald. Welcome, Ebru. How are you
Thank
guys
you.
doing today?
Doing great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So,
such an honor to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank
thank
you
you.
for having us.
Thank you for being here. So, Ebru, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Ebru Cartilli, and I'm born and raised in Denmark. Family immigrated, my grandparents immigrated from Turkey to Denmark in the 1970s. My parents got here very young, and my siblings and I are born and raised here in Denmark. Most of my family is here in Denmark. And what really was what really pushed me to do the one podcast with my partner Reginald here. I'm the co-host of the one podcast. Is this big awakening that happened last year? So just wanted to quick go back before the awakening because I feel like that's really exciting part. Because I always look back at myself and like, wow, what just happened? Because I never expected this. So growing up in a Muslim household, my parents are from Turkey. Growing up, I had this very traditional thinking. My dream was to grow up, find a husband, get married, find a has my husband, have kids, and my parents never really had the opportunity to get an education, go to school, and travel. So they really wanted us to really take school serious, get a great job, be a great citizen, and just have that life where you get a good job, have a family. So that was my dream growing up, was like getting married, have kids, and then also get education. So I got my bachelor's degree, and then I have my MBA as well. But just then finding a great place I could work. And back then it was like my dream place was legal. So that was like what I was like focused on back then. And so back in 2017, I moved to the States, California, and to get my MBA degree. So I moved there with my sister, and that's when things really changed for me because I met Reginald, my partner. So that's when things really took off, and really everything just changed and shifted. And we have done a lot of great things together. He was already working on one brand, which we will also talk more about. But he was already working on his brand, and I was working on mine, and we met together, like we met each other. So it was just like that's perfect mix. You working on your brand, I'm working on my brand. Let's do it together. It was already powerful. So just being introduced to the culture and just meeting him and his thinking, the way he is, just changed my perspective on a lot of different things. So we have built businesses together, and just not recently, I think like last year, we have built multiple businesses. But as of like, I think when we were 2000, like when COVID hit, we had our business. We were doing short-term rentals, and when COVID hit, we had to lay off our team. We had to shut down, and I had to move back to Denmark because I was living in California. We were living together in California, so I had to move back to, to survive, basically have our business survive. And so I moved back and uh, had to find a job quick. So I ended up finding a job in a factory, and we were just having this remote relationship, long distance relationship during that time as well. So working at a factory, and it was also like a whole different time for me too, because I just got my MBA and I'm here thinking I'm not gonna have another job, like just like being another place, and now I'm finding myself in a factory. And but that was just what was necessary back then. So we were just and he was working full time on the business, but it was specifically around March of last year, where we were working on one brand together, and all of a sudden, Reginald just wanting us to pause everything for a moment, like not for a moment. He wanted us to pause everything. Like we were working so hard and hustling for one brand back then, and he wanted everything to just stop, because he was just like going through his awakening back at that time. So he wanted, just like, he was just sending me just so many different videos and different stuff he wanted me to see, and just have things click for me and look at this. And so I didn't understand it back then. um and I was just frustrated because I'm like, what's going on? This is like the whole purpose. Like we building one brand, and I'm working here, getting this income, and this is like, what are we doing right now? Why are we pausing this whole thing? And he was like, we need to pause because this is different. Everything just like shifted, and that's also why one brand is one brand today. So that time after, he sent me one video, and then one specific video just clicked for me. Like it was just changing like my whole perspective on this 3D reality, life, and myself. So I started to go inwards, got very emotional. Yeah, just a lot of inner work, healing. And then I actually started to fast as well. As my first time ever fasting in my life. So I went on a 7 days fast, and then from there went into ayahuasca ceremonies, like plant teachers. So I got my ayahuasca ceremony, got the bufo, and then mushrooms, LSDs, and that's when things like, I felt like I was always doing a lot of inner work, and things were already changing for me. And but after these plant teachers, like the ceremonies, things were just like a whole different, like everything just changed, like on a whole different level. And that's really where everything just literally took off. um yeah, so that's where just things just changed for me so much in a whole different way. And it's been just like a great journey since then. And just this whole awakening, us having this, like, basically it was original that just were like, okay, let's do this podcast. He would go more into that because he's the one really having us like move on different things. But um that's actually where we're sitting here having this great, the one podcast, having great people talking about this whole awakening. Because when I'm looking back and just really look at myself and like how I have grown and evolved, and just how I'm looking at life, it's just very different than from where I'm coming from. Oh, and just at my family. So, but it's just amazing. I love this. And just had my out of body experience recently as well. So that was a whole nother experience, great experience. So just enjoying it, and I'm always learning and exploring new things. It's just a beautiful thing.
Very good. Now, before we let Reginald talk, you talked about your outer body experience.
Yes.
Where did you go? Did you see your body, or did you go to where Reginald is?
That's my goal next time. So I had my out of body, first ever out of body experience, after we had our guest Brandon Suarez on a podcast.
Mhm.
And and he actually had his first out of body because of the one podcast. And
Mm-hmm.
he's been trying to have an out of body experience for a long time, but he said watching the one podcast, he was like he started to remember things. And
Right.
then he sent us a message saying, got out of my body. And we were like, we're going to have him on our show now
Mm-hmm.
because this is fresh and this is what our audience want. This is what we want to know more about. And he just got onto a podcast episode. We had a great conversation with him where he had a back to back to back out of body experience. And that conversation that night where we were just talking, it was like 9-10 p.m. in Denmark. And I just, during that conversation, I just felt like I'm about to go out of my body. Like there was this energy in me. It's like almost like that inner like knowingness, confidence of like I'm about to go out of my body. And I've been trying to go out of my body just some time before that. So that night we end the conversation and I'm going to sleep. And literally as I'm going to sleep, I'm just listening to the binaural beats as I just would just do when I was trying to go out of my body. So I'm laying down and I can feel like the wave on my arms and the whole body. And as I'm listening to it, the binaural beats just end up stopping like after 45-50 minutes. And I'm like, oh no, that was not supposed. I was just feeling it going into this deep meditative state. And then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. Like I'm tired. So I end up turning off everything and then I'm like going to sleep. And then I'm waking up a few hours later because I had to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to the bathroom, going back, and then the moment I lay down in bed and I'm turning to my right side, closing my eyes, I can feel like this, like just something being pulled out of my like body. I'm literally going out of my body, and I'm like right in the room in this room right here, like right in front of the wall. So, and I'm like literally talking. I'm fully aware as I'm out of my body, and I'm like, am I out of my, like I'm keep asking myself those questions. Am I out of my body? Is this an OBE? Am I having this? And because we were talking about Brandon saying he could like go like having go through the wall with his body, like he was actually have to put a little bit effort into it. And I was like, let me try this. So I'm putting my hand through the wall, perfect, just without effort. And I'm like, you know what? If I can do it, let me try to go with my body. Like, let me go like through the wall with the whole body, and I'm doing it effortlessly. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. And I'm literally asking myself, like, this whole time, this is the first time I ever been so aware. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
literally knowing that I'm out of my body. Like, and then I'm asking myself questions all the time. And then I'm walking to the bathroom, and then I'm like, try to look at myself. I don't see myself in the mirror. And then I'm like, okay, I don't see myself, but everybody has their own unique out of body experiences, so you don't have to see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, let me go back. And I'm going back. And then there's a bunch of people from 9 to 5. And then they're sitting around in the room, like in the room here. And I'm like, try to talk to them and say, hi, hey, can you hear me? And they don't respond at all. Like they don't see me. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I'm like, I'm just in this room this whole time. And then I'm like, I can't remember how I go back into my body. But then I'm waking up and I immediately like, wow, this feels so real. Like I was out of my body. Very, very real moment, exciting moment, So I've been in this room and I was like, next time I'm gonna go to Reginald, like where he is. But yeah, so that was like a real great moment.
Well, that's the best way to have a long distance relationship when you could start doing that.
Exactly. Tell me about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, thank you for that. So, what about you, Reginald? And I apologize, but
Yeah. Completely understand. And it's such an honor too to be having this podcast with you, Glenda. Like we said earlier, on the day of Three Eye Atlas, December 19th here. So, I was attributing the whole throat thing to maybe some of the energies going on, with
Mm.
don't know, but you
mm.
you know, Glenda, what's going on.
Yeah,
And
it's one of those, you just gotta
yeah,
listen,
yeah,
and
say that piece.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So me and my story, is very broad and vast, because like I told you before, I grew up in a lot of different places. And again,
mhm,
the reason because of that was my father was military. So I grew up in a military household. I was born in Los Angeles, then moved to San Diego. I've lived in Texas, Florida, South Carolina, Rhode Island, the smallest state, the largest states, Virginia, New York. I've lived in the Middle East 8.5 years with my family as U.S. diplomats. I spent a few months in Africa. I was a bank manager for Navy Federal Credit Union, and also the bank's youngest bank manager. It's the world's largest credit union, and I was also fortunate to be the youngest bank manager as well. And so I spent time, being in charge of the Middle East and Africa area for the bank, and um, now currently been spending time in Mexico. Right now, we're in the process of moving back into Los Angeles to be near our manufacturer, so that we can,
Mhm.
continue to develop one brand. And growing up, I was always growing up in a Christian household, so uh, I spent so much time in so many different churches. I mean, and there were churches my parents were part of the ministry, and those were like just horrible times. I was just telling my dad about this, because I was like, we had to be at church, the first people at church, and then we had to be
Mhm.
the last people to leave. And as a kid, this is not how you want to spend, one of your 2 days on the weekend off,
Yep,
and
exactly.
you many, especially back in the day, they always wanted you to dress up, so you got to be, and that's the last thing you want to be dressed up or something as a kid, and so I just remember those times. And it was always very unique for me because I always loved to travel. When we had to move to another location, I was always excited. But one of those things that would always like pick my curiosity or interest or just cause me to say like, huh, was just that every single church just had like its own set of beliefs, and like it was just
Mhm.
church was like, you're going to hell if you drink, alcohol. The next church would be like, you can't just get drunk. You can drink, but don't. So it's like, hold on. So, but that church is saying you're going to go to hell. And then another church is like, women can't wear pants or something,
Right, right,
and so, my parents were always deeply spiritual, and not necessarily so much religious. And I feel like they kind of had that same thing as me. Like, you got all these different perspectives in these different churches. So it's important to have your own relationship with God. So that's kind of how I grew up, knowing to cultivate a relationship with God, but I still wasn't necessarily religious. I knew that I believed in Jesus Christ because I
right.
didn't want to have my butt in hell. I was not a fan of burning forever. So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
no, that
knew I
kind of puts
needed-
a
yeah,
different perspective on things.
yeah. I was highly motivated to have a relationship with Jesus and God the Father. And so I went to the Middle East. And I remember I was in a relationship, and then I was went through just a horrible, painful heartbreak. And understanding these things now, that you write your own story. You're in control of these things. So it couldn't have been better, for me to go into this. But I just remember there was a very challenging time in my relationship, and I went to go stay with my parents, my mom and dad, and my mom told me to stay in one of her rooms in the villa, and she was just like, just come in here and listen to this music. It was like worship music, and she said, just get on your knees and pray, just thank God, just say that, thank God, thank Jesus. And so I was doing that, and then I felt like what they say, the Holy Spirit, or it could have been Kundalini energy, but I just felt this warmth energy of something like I was very conscious, aware that something's happening right here in this deep state of meditation while I'm on my knees
Mhm.
over and over, something is happening, and it caused me to pause and really experience it. And ever since then, that's really when I went into just like, okay, there's something real here. That it's not, because I had been in churches too, seeing people get prayed for, fall out. I would
Right.
be, not falling out, trying to push my head into the hand, trying to make sure I'm feeling something, but nothing's happening, and it was just those things. So having that experience, I mean, I went through a very cultivated relationship with Jesus Christ and Christianity, again within my own relationship. So it was just like I would spend time just in the dark, sitting in the tub, writing letters, to God, to myself, to Jesus. Just a very affectionate relationship, singing songs in the dark, just that type of thing. One of the times that I went to the Middle East, I would lock myself like in the ATM room. I mean, sorry, when I went to Africa, this dark ATM room on the concrete,
Hmm.
in the concrete floor, just pursuing, the Spirit of God. I went out to the desert in the Middle East, just pitched a tent, just pursuing the Spirit of God. Just me and a prayer partner. He had his tent, I had mine, and just really just active. So
Right.
um, feeling just that you're getting closer to something and still having those questions that we kind of have, that, why is God, killing everybody, wanting the children to get killed, but still moving past that because I'm not trying to go to hell forever. So it's cool, God, you're cool with me. Don't send anything towards me. So those are the things that kind of led me into the spirituality sense. And I had other incredible, experiences as well, but I just remember, and I just know myself just very, very on fire, and
Hmm.
even I would carry a big Bible and it would had four different translations. I would be at the restaurant. I'd have a tall draft beer and a cocktail, and people would be like, "You can't be drinking and reading the Word of God." But I understood, hey, I have my own relationship with God, and you
Hmm.
tell me nothing, So just, I mean, I can go so detailed on how, in the Middle East, in certain places, it's illegal to spread the Word of God. I was actively spreading the Word of God, passing out Bible tracts on people's cars, going into hospitals, into camps where people from India were, needing and desiring prayer. So just very, very aggressively and to the Word of God, spreading the ministry of Jesus Christ and those things. So it wasn't until it wasn't until too much later, but I started telling people I'm not a Christian. I just follow the man Jesus, because
Hmm.
all these Christians had like, you're not a Christian if you're doing this, and so don't call me that. You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
need that title and that label to be okay,
Right.
according to what the word says. So I
Well,
just said
Jesus wasn't even a Christian.
exactly. Come to find out, yeah.
And that relationship is very personal, and it's within you,
Yeah.
not out here. Yes, okay, I don't agree with killing or causing harm or any which way, but as long as you are trying actively to be a good human being
Yeah.
and follow the teachings that were very loving
Hmm.
and in oneness, and like, I'm with Jesus even said that God is with me and I'm with God. So they're one and we're the same,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yep.
So,
Yep. And we'll be talking about that too within One Brand, because that's what One Brand's doing, bringing divine remembrance, remind
hmm,
of our divine connection to self, each other, and
yeah.
our, so, so yeah, going into that, what you said about Jesus. And it's always funny too, because I had a personal relationship with Jesus, with God. And like they say, most Christians really don't. They're just following kind of just the rules, the
The
religion,
rules. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
really cultivating the religion. So I often tell people that it was God, Jesus, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
intuition, feeling, but it was that which I had already been cultivating a relationship with that led me to this awakening. Because myself, Drew, and our community at the One Podcast, we're a community of truth seekers.
Right.
So we're not really holding on to any real belief system or anything other than what is the truth. So it's like if we have to drop everything we're holding just to go in that direction for the truth, and then we got to drop it to come back over here. It's just what is the truth. So
Right.
uh, for me, that's really what started when I started saying, okay, I just follow the man Jesus. And when Ebru met me back in 2017, I was already somebody who, meditated, but I was really still that, I'm following Jesus type of thing. And I never, she grew up Muslim, Ebru, and she'll tell you, I never forced my belief system on her, and it wasn't an issue that she was coming from a, Islamic background, and I'm, believing in Jesus. And I would have friends say, are you sharing her the word? Are you, trying to bring her to Jesus? And it's just like, let her be her, and I'm just going to be me.
Well, I'm a big believer that all roads lead back to love, which
Yeah.
is
Hmm.
God, the creator, the divine.
Hmm.
And we came from love and we're going back to love. So it doesn't make any difference what your upbringing was, as long as you spread love and understanding and compassion, not just for everybody else, but you're also for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Very powerful. And last year when Ebru went through the awakening again, as she mentioned, I was kind of the trigger and the catalyst, for her awakening. So I'm not sure if you're familiar or your audience is familiar with Sean Ryan, but he had an interview, and I wasn't even familiar with him. I just saw that he had done an interview with a CIA, person named Joe McMoneagle, and
mhm,
saw that, and it was like a 6 hour interview. And in this interview, this is the CIA's first employee for the Project Stargate that they had, which was an out of body program. And
mhm,
I remember when I was in high school, because I had a great situation in high school where I didn't have to go to school every day. And so I was able to spend a lot of time being at home or either at work making money. So um, when one of the things that annoyed me too when I was a teenager was like, I hate that I have to go to sleep. I wish I could just go to sleep when I want to go to sleep and eat when I want to eat. So I looked it up on the internet, and it said there are ways to like switch your sleep so you don't really have to sleep. And uh, as I was doing that research, I saw something show how you can actually come out of your body, by pulling a silver or cord or something, a rope, a way to come out of your body.
mhm,
I tried that multiple times, and I just thought this is not real, and seeing the CIA Stargate thing, I said, "Oh my gosh, what I was trying in high school is most certainly, definitely real now."
mhm,
And so that just took all my attention because now that and mind you, when I was actually in the Middle East, I actually went out of my body. I had an out of body experience where my body was going up to the ceiling, and I was telling everybody how I went out of the body, how my senses were more real and everything. And you only can really know what you know personally. So people are hearing me, but I can tell they're not like, oh yeah, he definitely went out of his body. It's just kind of like, oh really? Wow, maybe you were dreaming, or were you drinking that day, type of thing. So uh,
yeah, that's always the first question.
yeah.
Using drugs or were you drinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yep. And so I just remember it was so real. And then when I watched that podcast episode, it took me days to watch it, maybe 2, 3, 4 days, because it was 6 hours. I broke it up over time, and it was just powerfully impactful. And then I found Lori Williams, who was also a part of like the CIA's training, and she had a CIA course on how to remote view. I
Mhm,
course, and I was successful remote viewing. When Ebru was in a factory, she was dealing with like dressings, and I'm like, "Is the dressing color orange?"
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
as you know, is it white? So I'm literally getting the colors right, remote viewing, and that just took me down a whole road because now that out of body's real, now that remote viewing's real, now what else is real? Now, as a
Exactly.
you can't really deal with channeling, mediums. They tell you stay far away from that divination, and so now I'm just in a whole place of now I'm more open to this now. So
Right.
where I'm listening to mediums and I'm listening to them, and I'm like, man, these are just some of the nicest people in the world. Like this does not give off any devilish, evil vibes at all. You know?
The real channelers don't. And
Yeah,
I could tell you because I'm one of them.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
Mhm.
but, we on purpose only work in the light.
Hmm.
We set that intention.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. If you set the intention, everybody has gifts. When you're cultivating it, you should set the intention to be in the light, to do
Hmm.
for greatest good. And each one of us has our own path. So, like yours is opening up right now because of your awakenings and all that other stuff. So, it's really, truly opening up. And this is the time where you set that intention, and then you only get opportunities to continue in the light.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
And they
you're
will continue opening more and more
yeah, and you're a grandmaster as well,
in
correct?
Reiki.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you definitely know about that light energy on a very powerful level.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of the first things we noticed about you. Just you have a very light energy about you, and it's very warm, positive, and very inviting.
Thank you. Thank you. So did you guys. You just not realized it yet. You will. I could say anything until you're blue. I'm blue in the face, but it takes the moment when you realize it when it goes boop, and you say, "Oh, that's what they were talking about." Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Thank you.
So this one brand, what What drew you to it besides the awakenings and all that?
Yeah, and the funny thing that you said this too is because oh, I've been working on one for over 10 years. You know,
Mm-hmm.
been together for almost 10 years. And, we actually just celebrated our anniversary last month. We met each other on 11/11, mind you. So the thing that started one brand for me was I just kept seeing these serial pattern numbers, 111, 11,
Mm-hmm.
10, 11, you know, and it wasn't just those numbers. It could be 222, 1212, but it just started with just ones, seeing ones. And my last name is Braggs, and so my brand was Braggs, and then also I'm working with one, so it was like two different distinct brands, but it was the same brand. And so it was unique when me and Ebru came together. She was working on Cartilli, so it was Braggs Cartilli. So now we've been able to say Braggs Cartilli are one brand at the
Good.
same. And so it was always this stuff. And I remember telling Ebru multiple times, she would be like, man, it's genius how you're putting together this stuff. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's not me. Like I know I'll take it. I'll say, okay, I'm genius, I'm smart, I'm intelligent. I'll accept that. But this is just a different level of just inspiration, of intelligence, just how it's coming together in me. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's too easy. I'm not even thinking or trying. It's just boom,
Divine guidance.
mind guidance is the
Yeah.
perfect. And uh that has really been like the catalyst that guided it. And then I always knew I was a Sagittarius, growing up, but I didn't know Sagittarius was fire energy. I didn't know also about a life path number until this awakening. So I just
Mm-hmm.
last year my life path number is one. So it only just made more
Yeah.
sense, while developing this brand called One. And
Mm-hmm.
just the mission of one to me is just so important, and I feel like it's more needed than ever with where we're at right now. It just seems like the divine timing with the divine guidance of what we're here doing. We're reminding uh, one another, that we are God, that we are source energy, that we are here for a reason, that we're all connected, reminding again that what we say is we remind humanity of our divine connection to self. So first remembering who we are, but also how we are connected to others and how we're connected to our planet. We're all one. It's
Very
basically,
true.
yeah, what we're saying. So we also give 50% of every transaction to charity. And we recently just made a partnership with the NBA's official charity partner, Change, at Get
Mm-hmm.
IO. So that now allows us that we don't, because we've always been this way where we don't just give 50% to charity, we give 50% of to charity of each person's choice. So we let
Mm-hmm.
each person have their choice of charity. But now this partnership with Change gives us a database of over 1.3 million nonprofits and charities for people to choose from. So what
Nice.
support butterflies, Glenda's books in the background, whatever it is you can think of, it's pretty much existing. And this is supporting big and small charities, mom and pop charities. If you don't see your charity listed, you can get them listed. You can develop a charity yourself and get it listed. And the partnership with Change is great for us because they keep all the bad actors out, so making sure that
Yeah.
there's no situations of fraud or,
That
terrorism.
they're legit. They're legit. Yes.
Exactly. So we couldn't be more excited with it, but that's really what it's about for us when it comes to one brand is this, when you're wearing a shirt that says one or we are one or you are God, it's not just a reminder for you, but it's also reminding other people and waking them up that people may feel like, hold on, why does your shirt say that? It can
Mm-hmm.
well as activate others. And this is what we're here to do. And I definitely know that's what I'm here to do. I can be very, if you've seen my LinkedIn, I'm very loud, with what I'm saying. I don't really
Yeah.
care, about being liked. I just need to know that I'm right. You know what I mean? I need to know that other people are being, you know, felt. I always look
That
at,
you're on the right path
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and the
exactly.
right journey.
And he
Yes.
Yeah,
always tells me, he's like, Ebru, does your parents know about this? Does your like people around you know about this? Everybody should know about this, So
yeah,
he's making definitely making sure that the message is being spread,
yeah.
which is
Because
Good. Good.
also great because we have the one podcast now, which is an expressive platform of the one brand. So this is just great for us to have this, for us to co-create,
Mhm.
this reality, this now, this present. So it's just been such a great experience, and then spreading the message at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, where could people find your podcast?
Right now we're everywhere. Spotify, YouTube. We just got on Rumble. Because we hear Rumble
Nice.
can kind of get loud, get crazy. You don't have to worry about too much policy violations. And that
Hmm.
one guest that we had, our number one video right now is Brandon. He provides a surefire, guaranteed way on how to go out of body. And this has had so many people go out of their body, including Ebru, who mentioned she went out of her body that night after hearing this video. So
Hmm.
created a channel, and his channel was immediately shut down. Like within just a weeks of being up, he only had 3 videos. So we like to be in all sorts of places. So we're on Patreon as well, but primarily right now we're on YouTube, but
Hmm.
on on Instagram as well. Am I missing anything, Ebru?
Yeah, Amazon Music,
Mhm.
iHeartRadio. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
And of course, LinkedIn.
Mhm. LinkedIn. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Glenn.
definitely.
Where he's loud and proud.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, now what is the main objective or goal that you have um, with your podcast? Like, is there a theme, or is it anybody who has a message that is with spiritual value?
Yeah. For me, my message, as Ebru mentioned, it's an expressive platform of
Mhm.
one brand, and for us, the whole message for one brand is really just waking the world up. On my personal YouTube, my bio says, waking you the f up. So
Of course.
I'm all about just being there. Like, I just need to know that you know. I don't need you to do what I'm telling you to do.
No,
I need to know that I told you. And if
right?
somebody has an easier message for you, a more peaceful, more pacified message, and that's what you go with, cool. But you're still gonna remember that guy, whether he was the crazy guy or what. That somebody just screamed something that I had never heard before, that shook my
Yeah.
world, triggered my world, that caused me to be more fertile to me receiving the message down the line. So that's really just my focus, especially me going through this awakening. I feel like there's just nothing more important in the world than to let people know, and for me, Glenda, too, I just feel like coming into this, I just feel like I just see a lot of people just kind of being cool. And I know that we're all here for different purposes. So I'm definitely not here judging, but I just feel I hear so many people saying, man, they're poisoning our water, they're poisoning our air. And I'm just like, we need to be shaking the cage. You hear what you guys are saying? Like,
Uh-huh. Exactly.
yeah, so I've been like talking to ChatGPT. What can we do? Get signatures, and can we run for office, or march on Washington? Like, what
Hmm.
we do to really?
It's not just everything is action. And, your purpose is not just to say it, but to take action to better the world,
Yeah,
however that manifests.
certainly.
Right. And by you bringing the messages out there, just like I do, my idea is to help people find what resonates with them
Hmm.
so they could continue their journey. So they could open up, like the lotus, it's closed until the right moment.
Hmm.
And they just open up, and
Yeah.
they have their awakening moments, because that's another thing. People think that it's only one awakening, and every single time you get comfortable, look out. They
Yes.
they
Hmm.
take
Yeah.
you to another level, and you're like, really, did I
Yeah.
have to go through that to
Hmm.
get to here?
Yeah.
Can't could I just have the cliff notes, please?
Yeah.
But and
Yeah.
I was born remembering, so I can't even imagine for the person who did not remember, doesn't remember.
Yeah.
Wow.
Powerful.
Yeah, so it's definitely um, an interesting journey. We're in interesting times, and I don't know about you, but you can always feel that some people are like with this,
Mm-hmm.
walking around, and they just, whatever people are whispering in their ears, that's all they believe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And they're not trying to even examine what they're feeling when
Mm-hmm.
they're hearing that, because you
Mm-hmm.
know if it resonates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know if somebody's saying something, and like you said, wake the f up. Well, what the f are you talking about? That doesn't resonate with me. That's like totally left field. What are you
Mm-hmm.
talking about?
Yeah.
And I question it, and that's when you know you're on the right path, not just taking everything like being spoon fed. You're
Mm-hmm.
actually taking and managing your own life and the way you live and what you believe in and how you see reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because to me, reality isn't. I Mind you, I grew up very Christian. I grew up Northern Baptist,
Wow.
and that's no drinking, no smoking, no gambling, no this, no that, no dancing, no that. And I danced,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I didn't smoke because I didn't want to smoke.
Yeah.
I don't drink because I don't want to drink,
Yeah. Exactly.
not because they told me I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I was the one that got thrown out of Sunday school because I asked too many questions.
Wow.
Well, you tell me in Genesis, you cannot have incest, but then there's only one woman and one man that appear, and they
Yeah.
have siblings, and then those siblings are marrying people and having grandkids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, there's something
Yeah.
here, not
And some.
not you know.
Mm.
So I asked the question, okay, are we not supposed to be in incest, or was there something not being told?
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
that's when I learned all about Lilith, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where I learned all about all the
Yeah.
other people that were really in the world already, but they
Yeah.
just decided to tell the story about Adam and Eve.
Wow.
So, and those are the questions that I've always, even at a young age, I've had. I was very grateful and blessed that my father, every single time I had a question, he would give me another book. Here you go.
Wow. Yeah.
And I would be like, oh, that explains that. Ooh. All right. I don't have to ask the questions and look, everybody look at me like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Uh,
Really.
but,
Yeah.
um, we all, when we start questioning, that's when we start growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's when divine guidance comes in and shows us the path, the true path
Yeah.
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 for us at that moment. I should explain that very carefully because we keep growing, we keep learning, we keep
Mm-hmm.
evolving. That's what we came here for,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
and to help raise the vibration of the earth in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The plants, the animals, us, and everything else that comes with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, because the earth also was built, just the earth was created, and now that being that created the earth has to be very powerful. So,
Mm-hmm.
the earth is a living thing
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
now, when can people catch your podcast?
We go. You want to ask that, Ebru?
Yeah. We every Sunday at 1 p.m. EST.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good.
Weekly.
And you're in Mexico, and you're in
Denmark.
Denmark, right? Okay, so that should be interesting. That's probably why it's at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Literally.
Because otherwise you'll catch her in pajamas. Uh,
Most certainly.
so now, do you have plans to come back this way, Ebru?
I'm coming back to the States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the whole with one brand or one podcast. As Reginald he mentioned earlier, we
Mm-hmm.
are right now in this beautiful transition into Los Angeles, be closer to our manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely what we're working on, and where things are just moving right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
Good. Can't wait to have you back. And so what what are your goals besides moving back to the US to be closer to your brand or your manufacturer?
Yeah.
um
You want to answer, Ebru?
yeah, I mean, the goals like in life.
Mm-hmm. Are you look guys going to be writing a book? You guys, what kind of example? Because I mean, you each have your own story, which is very powerful. And I could see a book being written by both of you, each telling your story. And also, like the third chapter, for example, would be the story of both of you
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
together.
Yeah.
I think it would be a great healing book.
Mm.
And it would be a great avenue to get your message out as well.
Mm.
And will live a lot longer than us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
wow, yeah, that's
So,
powerful.
Mm-hmm. Thank
mm, yeah,
Yes.
so, um, and I know it's just basically, right now you're looking towards coming back to the US, both of you. Um, now, when you were a Muslim, or yeah, when you were Muslim, Ebru,
Yeah.
um, did they make you do all the rituals, like all the praying all the time and all that other stuff, or?
uh no, it's actually not been like that because um I have not grown up like, because I feel like I've been like kind of in the middle of two cultures, and
Hmm.
it's the same with my grandparents and also family. So they have that a little bit of Turkish, and then they have Danish because now they've been here for 40 years, over 40
Hmm.
years. So
Hmm.
it's been, I feel like I've been kind of like in the middle of two. I always felt like I've been middle of like, feel like Danish, and then I would go to Turkey, I feel Danish, and then I'm in Denmark, and I feel Turkish. Like that's how I felt like I used to. But
Hmm.
like in a family, it's not been like this where they expected me to pray 5 times a day, or go to Mecca, or just you can't eat this, you can't eat that. So my parents, like family, don't eat pork,
Right.
but I I'm eating what I want to, like what I feel like it's right for me and what I want to do. That's what I'm actually doing. And then I also just know that I'm very different. So especially since this awakening, I'm like a whole different person too, when I'm looking at my family. But it's never been like where they wanted me to doing this like pray, or just like
Right.
having a certain, like doing certain things, because it's never been that like religious like that. But it's more of my parents didn't have the same opportunity back then of like going to
Hmm.
school, or they I feel like they had this expectation. I mean, like, you're just gonna be uh getting an education, make sure that you are going to school, make sure that you're getting a job, make sure that you're getting married, make sure that you
Hmm.
have a husband, kids, those type of expectations, pressure,
Right.
I felt growing up. um, so after this whole awakening, I feel like I have just now become more of like me, who I am, and learning about me, because I've always just followed and just doing what I thought, like there was just like what just a person would just do, like, you growing up and you're just doing what you're supposed to be doing, just going with the flow like that. But
Hmm.
it's just, this awakening is so amazing, because especially after these plant teachers ceremonies, I always talk about those because it's such a special part of my awakening journey. So when I did the mushroom, I feel like I literally cried. Like that mushroom experience was like from 8 p.m. to like 12 hours. And you're sitting with a group of amazing people, and they all have their own reason and story and intention for being there. And then I'm sitting there, thanks to Reginald, like he's the one doing it first. He's telling me, like you should do this. And I'm going in there, and this all these hours, I'm literally crying. Like I'm so emotional, I'm crying, and I can just feel like the release that
Mm-hmm.
trauma, ancestor pain, like all this stuff is like literally crying out, and I feel so light after that. Like it was like the most beautiful experience. And sometimes when I would tell my family, they'd be like, "That doesn't sound like great. Why would you like just feel like this is just nice when you just been crying this whole time?" Like I was just looking so, like you could tell like I've been crying, but it felt so amazing, and I feel like that was one of the big reasons why I felt like I'm this person today too, because I'm just so much more myself. And just all these ayahuasca ceremonies I've been into is just, it's just like just being more my authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
and it just doesn't look like the average like person, growing up in a Muslim household, or I'm feel like I'm very different, and I feel like this is why I'm here, on this earth. I decided to come to this earth to change those things as well. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes my family will look at me and they're like, okay, you're very different. But I just feel like this is just amazing because I feel like I'm just being more myself, my authentic self, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really just focused on doing what I feel like is right, my heart, in this life. And if I feel like I want to eat pork, I'm going to eat pork. If I feel like this is love, I'm going to do this. So
Right.
it's just amazing. And I used to be this shy person, and I feel like after this awakening, I've just been more expressive, and just like loving myself more differently. So all these amazing things, people go through do their
Mm-hmm.
because of the awakening. So yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you're giving your family the opportunity for them to also have their awakening moment
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're seeing you go and change. So, in a way, you're also healing them without them even really realizing it.
Yeah.
So, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. That is wonderful. And Reginald, what about your family? How did they see you?
I feel like they've always seen me kind of like as the crazy one. Again, even when I was Christian, my dad would tell me to have balance. You
Right.
know, 1111. Oh, it's 1111 right now. Mine is. It's 111. And my dad would sit down because again, mind you, when I'm Christian in the Middle East, I'm out there spreading the ministry, doing
Right,
all.
right,
So he's telling me you want to have a balance to spirituality and the real world, basically.
right.
Uh, as you can probably tell, Glenda, I just have a lot of passion and fire for what I'm doing. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like my family has kind of surmised that this is just who I am, a passionate person. So now going into this awakening space, they're just kind of looking at me. Here I am talking about channeling, mediums, and extraterrestrials now. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're they're looking at me, but I can tell that they're not, they haven't like cast me aside. They're kind of like paying attention to what I'm talking about, but they're not pushing me away, which is a good thing. So
Right,
like you
right.
said, Ebru, it's like bringing healing. So I believe really the same thing with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I even see they're kind of talking a lot more kind of like me when they're talking about source or things like that. That would
Mm-hmm.
be the term, but I still feel like they have still some of that Christianity in them, but it's not nearly as much. And again, the same way I was with Ebru, I'm not in any type of rush of trying to like get them to believe this as much as just being the frequency that I'm being and
Right.
letting them see how I'm seeing is they're seeing things just click and flow in synchronicity with me in my life and
Mm-hmm.
becoming lighter and shining brighter. I believe it's one of those things that's allowing them to be affected as well.
Right. And it's a major difference from when you were in the desert spreading the news and being so obsessive about it
Yeah.
versus just standing in your truth,
Mm-hmm.
being mindful, being present, and allowing them to really absorb that energy
Yep.
and that
Yep.
knowledge. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely different,
Mm-hmm.
even though you are a Sagittarius and you would
Yeah.
would follow the fire. So, um, okay, is there anything that you would like to talk about that we haven't said anything about or we haven't touched yet?
I think we've covered everything, honestly. This has been a great interview. I'm just very pleased, to receive the invitation from you, Glenda. And
Thank
like,
you for accepting.
yeah,
I'm sorry I speak like Minnie Mouse today, but
it's it's been perfect. You've still been engaged highly with us, so we definitely feel at home. In the dragon.
Mm.
It's nice, nice,
yeah.
cozy.
Anytime you guys want to come back, you're more than welcome. And I thank you for sharing your truths and your lives, because this is also giving someone else an opportunity to not feel like they're spiritual and they have to hide it because they're in a Christian environment or a Muslim environment.
Hmm.
Being spiritual, you could be Christian spiritual, you could be Muslim spiritual, and people don't realize that it doesn't cancel each other.
Hmm.
Just because you're following a Bible that gives you good stories, good moral stories, good ways of looking at things. And although the translations are not always correct, but you could get the gist of it. The idea is to get the bigger picture out of it, not the minutia, you
Hmm.
know. Uh, we should all know, period, that you shouldn't kill or cause harm to anybody else. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a given. Anybody who doesn't understand that, then
Hmm.
will never understand it, whether
Yeah.
they're Christian, Muslim, nothing, whatever, you
Hmm.
know.
Yes.
So, you should not steal from somebody else. It's a given. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
that's causing harm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and when you have start that relationship with your true divine self, which is the divine creator sending you that energy, and you become one of the whole. You
Hmm.
become one and complete.
Yeah.
And that is really what it's all about. Doesn't
Hmm.
make any difference what you started as
Hmm.
or how you saw life before. It's
Hmm.
when you have that interaction, that awakening moment, that your light bulb lights up,
Hmm.
and then you start to feel that, where somebody could call it the Holy Spirit,
Hmm.
somebody could call it the divine intervention, somebody could call it whatever they were, Kundalini. Doesn't
Exactly.
make any difference. That it's that awakening moment that
Hmm.
helps you understand that you're here with a bigger purpose, with a stronger connection to source.
Yeah.
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 And no matter what you want to call source, you want to call it God, Buddha, Allah. I don't care.
Hmm.
It's just wording. It's just for the human mind. That's it.
Yeah. It is.
So,
Mhm.
all right. So I thank you guys for being
Yeah.
here and like I said, sharing your life stories with us. And if everyone just check the description and go follow them, go watch their podcast, and you never know who they have that will be just resonating with you and helping you the next step. So as always, thank you guys. Have a great day
Yeah.
and love you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.